back Bentley. Here's Clark, a good look from three. She got it!
They had the best nose for the basketball in the W. Good job staying with their concentration on this finish.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are about to meet again, but this time it's different. It's not college. It's not a one-off. This is the pros, and the stage is set. The WNBA just scheduled 5 Fever versus Sky games for the 2025 season, more than any other team matchup.
The Indiana Fever are collecting WNBA rivals like infinity stones. The league announced its first ever Rivals Week. Obviously, this is just good promotion, but they've got, some involvement with Caitlin Clark and the Fever in a couple of games. It's got Angel Reese in the Sky against Clark and the Fever. They have those two teams playing 5 times this season, so you know that the league is leaning into that rivalry.
You know why? Because Clark and Reese don't just play ball. They shift culture. They break the internet. They sell out arenas. The league isn't subtle about it either. Their first clash is set to kick off the WNBA's brand new Rivals Week, airing on national TV. It's a strategic bet, one that leans fully into personality, drama, and long-term fan investment. This isn't just basketball. It's business, branding, and storytelling rolled into one. You can feel the stakes growing by the week. All roads lead to August 9th. Prime time, national TV, Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky.
And there's a history between Clark and Reese, and there is increased interest when the Fever play the Sky. There's no doubt about it. You know, when it's not nonsense discourse amongst fans and pundits, that's a fun basketball showdown for sure.
This isn't just the start of Rivals Week, it's the headliner. Clark versus Reese is opening night energy with a playoff feel. CBS has the broadcast, the league has the storylines. The players, they've got history. It's the WNBA's first ever Rivals Week, and this matchup is leading the charge. This isn't random scheduling, it's calculated. These two players have been linked since college, and every time they share the court, numbers spike.
So as we look ahead to the upcoming season, there's never been more excitement around the WNBA, certainly since I've been here. The momentum from last year is carried over in a big way, fueled by obviously incredible fan engagement, rising TV viewership, and a league stacked with extraordinary talent.
This is more than just a game. It's a collision of legacies in progress. Clark, with her long bombs and fast tempo. Reese, with her grit and physical edge. Both are young, both are elite, and both carry massive fan bases who don't just watch, they react. The bigger question here is, are people showing up for the basketball or the drama? Can the WNBA stretch this out over an entire season, or are they putting too much weight on one matchup? Right now, they're betting everything that the answer is yes.
If Clark and Reese remains a thing for the rest of their careers and people are extra excited when they play, that's great too. It's when, the Clark and the Reese thing took on all the other racial dynamics that people talked about. And then obviously the fans got involved and they still are involved. And that's going to happen with fans too. You can't really control that. Supporters of one player are going to, support that player and unfortunately sometimes trash the other player. But that doesn't need to be the case. And I think whenever there is good-spirited rivalries, competitive rivalries in sports become more interesting. And I think people would lie if they were to say that, the games against the Sky were just as anticipated as a game against, some other team on the schedule. Same thing goes with the Wings. And I've included the Aces in that group because I think that the Fever lost all their games to the Aces last year. So you want to see how they measure up this year. You want to see how Caitlin Clark does, even though it's not head-to-head, position-wise, but measures up with A'ja Wilson when they're both on the court at the same time. Same thing would go for the Liberty, the defending champs. How do they stack up with the defending champs? Though I don't think there's as much of a rivalry aspect there. But it would be a lie to say people aren't more excited to see the Fever against the Sky or more excited to see the Fever against the Wings this season. So the WNBA might as well lean in.
Their rivalry didn't start in college. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese first crossed paths on the AAU circuit as teenagers. Different teams, same energy. They weren't just talented, they were dominant. That early friction didn't fade. It followed them to the Big Ten. Clark repped Iowa. Reese played for Maryland before transferring to LSU. Whenever their teams met, sparks flew. But it was the 2023 NCAA championship that took things to another level. LSU beat Iowa. Reese hit Clark with the now iconic "You can't see me" taunt.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
That wasn't just trash talk. It was a shift. It made people talk. It made them choose sides. Social media turned one play into a national conversation. From that point on, their names were locked together. Every highlight, every quote, every clash. Fans kept receipts. It wasn't just basketball anymore. It became personal. And now, that energy carries into the WNBA. Their debuts in 2024 were two of the most watched rookie moments in league history. Clark joined the Indiana Fever. Reese landed with the Chicago Sky. Clark dropped dimes, pulled from the logo, and ran the floor like a seasoned pro. Reese brought rebounding power, post presence, and her signature edge. They weren't perfect, but they were electric. Every game they played was dissected in real time. Every matchup between them came with pressure. The league leaned in. The networks followed. These weren't just rookies. They were primetime already. Clark and Reese both turned pro in 2024. Both became WNBA All-Stars in their rookie season. Both led jersey sales. It's obvious the WNBA is taking a page straight out of the NBA playbook in order to make some profit.
But that's just smart marketing. I mean, that makes sense from the WNBA's point of view. There's no real reason to be mad about that or take that for anything else other than it is. You know, it's a commercial partnership. They got a sponsor. Ally Financial is the sponsor. Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, talked about it during an unveiling of the press conference. So it's not, this is just the NBA has done it in the past as well. Sometimes this stuff might feel novel for the WNBA because it hasn't had the same promotional deals and the like. And, obviously Caitlin Clark was a rookie last year, so was Angel Reese, and Paige Beckers is a rookie this year. But this is all good stuff for the sport. Like, if Paige and Caitlin are compared from a basketball standpoint and people are hyped when they play each other, that's great.
The NBA introduced Rivals Week in 2022, and it wasn't subtle. They picked the matchups fans already circled on the calendar: Celtics versus Lakers, Warriors versus Grizzlies, Suns versus Mavericks. Games with history, drama, and fan heat. The league gave those rivalries primetime spots and national broadcasts. The goal was clear: fuel the storylines, tap into emotion, and turn regular season games into can't-miss events. It wasn't just smart. It worked because at the end, ratings climbed, conversations spiked, and suddenly the idea of rivalry became a branding tool, not just a backstory. Now the WNBA is running with that same playbook, but with a twist. They're not just leaning on legacy, they're creating new tension in real time. Clark versus Reese isn't built on decades of battles. It's recent, raw, and already loud. And instead of waiting for a rivalry to grow naturally, the league is framing it up front, driven by matchups that bring buzz. Clark versus Reese, Buchers versus Clark, Liberty versus Lynx in a finals rematch, Griner back in Phoenix.
And then the Wings and the Fever in that week in August also play. So it's Paige Beckers against Caitlin Clark. And that makes sense given Paige Beckers is a guard and given she's the next #1 pick after Caitlin Clark in succession. So you bring that matchup up as well. There's other games on the schedule, including the Lynx and the Liberty, a rematch of last year's final. But whenever you're trying to get attention, there's a common denominator, and that's Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. So you got Paige Beckers, you got Angel Reese, the Sky, the Wings, and sometimes, with all these national TV games, it feels like it's the Fever versus everybody.
All of this is happening under the Rivals Week umbrella, with Ally Financial as the sponsor. Ally isn't just writing checks, they're shaping narratives, and the WNBA is leaning in. These aren't random games, they're storylines with stakes. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert isn't hiding the play. She said this could be the league's bird magic moment. She knows that rivalries build legends. They create tension, and tension is what makes fans care.
We are pleased to welcome a few new partners recently. You saw last Friday, Ally Financial joins us as our latest WNBA changemaker, which is another testament to the league's rising influence. And Ally has consistently demonstrated a deep commitment to elevating women's sports in a way that drives real impact. And this partnership really reflects a shared vision for growing the game and increasing visibility. So as we announced on Friday, Ally will serve as the presenting partner of the WNBA's first ever Rivals Week, a showcase of must-see matchups from August 9th to the 17th. And for me, that time of year will be particularly interesting as teams start to make a huge push for the playoffs. And I think we're going to have a ton of parity in the league this year.
Not everyone's on board. Some critics think the league is overhyping the Clark-Reese feud. Engelbert responded directly, Fan tension is real, but that's exactly why the league has to double down. People are paying attention, and that's what matters. The Sky and Fever play each other 5 times in 2025. No other matchup happens more often. That's not a coincidence. It's a broadcast move. It's a cultural push, and it's based on hard data. Clark's games drew the highest ratings in 2024. Sky Fever games were the most watched matchups. From opening night to Rivals Week, they're at the center. This isn't just a hoop rivalry. It's a season-long narrative arc. The league is essentially saying, this is our headliner. Teams are playing along. Dallas revealed their schedule with food critic Keith Lee. Others used influencers, social trends, even fashion collabs. The WNBA is moving like a media brand, not just a sports league. Players are in on it too. They're not just athletes anymore. They're content creators. Their TikToks get millions of views. Their outfits go viral. Their interviews start Twitter debates. That cultural weight is now baked into the schedule. Meanwhile, Allie isn't just a sponsor. They're a driver. They signed direct deals with big names like Breanna Stewart, Sydney Colson, and Paige Buchers. That's not just for visibility, it's to tie banking to athlete power. Paige Buchers signed on as a brand ambassador and a digital banking partner. That's next-level integration. Allie doesn't want to just show up during commercial breaks. They want to be part of the athlete's image. Andrea Brimmer, Allie's chief marketer, made it clear this isn't about checking a box. She called the players' cultural currency phenomenal. These athletes move markets. They shift trends. They influence what people talk about. Their deals weren't just about ads. They included digital banking campaigns, social pushes, long-term partnerships. Ally called it action over talk. They saw the potential of women's sports and treated it like a growth investment, not a favor, a future. That kind of backing isn't just smart. It shifts the way companies think about athletes in this space. It gives players leverage. It builds brand value. And it signals that women's basketball is no longer a side bet. Ally's angle is clear. Women's sports aren't just growing, they're shaping the future. And the company is betting big that this wave isn't slowing down. Not only Ally, Coach have also announced a partnership with WNBA to become the official handbag partner of the league.
So Coach bringing its signature style to one of the league's most exciting moments. This partnership marks the beginning of a dynamic collaboration with Coach and the WNBA set to work together on various innovative activations throughout the season, engaging fans and players. The players all have their Coach bags now. So again, it's sitting at the intersection of sports and now luxury fashion. So that's kind of cool.
The WNBA itself is gambling on stars to drive its next phase. Clark and Reese are the centerpiece, not the bonus. Clark is already pulling viewership numbers that rival men's sports. Reese brings an edge that energizes Gen Z fans. Together, they're doing what no marketing campaign could do. Their on-court chemistry, clashes, and competitiveness are bringing fresh eyes to the league. New fans, young fans, fans who care as much about culture as stats. The league knows this. That's why they're building around it. But it raises a question. Is this too much weight on 2 rookies? Can the WNBA sustain this if one or both stumble? Right now, they're not hedging. They're all in. Clark and Reese both played in the 2024 All-Star Game. That game alone pulled 3.44 million viewers. That's the 3rd highest in league history. Sky vs. Fever was the most watched regular season game last year, and it wasn't close. That stat alone explains why the league scheduled 5 more. Now Paige Buchers is entering the mix. If she joins the Dallas Wings as expected, that sets up another rivalry with Clark. One more layer, one more narrative. It's going to be a competitive season. The WNBA is entering a new golden era, but can Caitlin Clark maintain her lead? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching.